Hello, welcome to the Big Future Live. My name is Favor Akinyemi, and I'm so excited to be kicking off tonight's Big Future Live event, Financial Aid and Your Future, The Basics. A little about me. I am a junior at a high school in Illinois, and I'm also a Big Future ambassador. I'm one of over 9,000 high school student leaders who help others to plan for a life after high school. I became a Big Future Life ambassador because it is an amazing opportunity for me to put myself out there, make connections, and be a voice for students like myself. We are so thankful that you're joining us today. I know it's probably been a long day at school or work for parents and educators with us, so thank you for joining Big Future Live. For those of you who don't know, Big Future Live is a series of virtual community events where you connect with college reps, career experts, and peers to help you plan for a life after high school. Big Future Live was created so you can get your questions answered to plan your future your way. It's never too early to start thinking about your next step after high school and how to pay for it. So today, we are answering your questions about financial aid, the basics. We're joined by financial aid experts from Johns Hopkins University, Emory University, and University of Wisconsin-Madison, who are ready to answer your questions. So get your questions ready, and welcome to Big Future Life family.
Thank you so much, Favor, and thank you to all the students, parents, educators joining us today. Welcome to Big Future Live, Financial Aid and Your Future, the Basics. My name is Greg Rafal. I use he, him pronouns, and I work here on the Big Future team. For those of you who don't know, or for those of you who it's your first time attending Big Future Live, Big Future is a team of former educators, parents, career and college planning pros, and a group of folks who are really just committed to helping students plan for life after high school and helping you take your next step. As Favor said, our goal here at Big Future Live is to answer questions. So you're not going to sit through a long presentation. I don't have a ton of PowerPoint slides that I'm going to throw at you. This is really a virtual event powered by students, parents, and of course, your questions. Now, financial aid, it's a big topic. And just to put it out there, it can also be pretty overwhelming. So if you have a question, but you don't want to ask it because you think or you feel like you're supposed to know already, please know that you are not alone. And we're here to answer your questions. So don't be shy. That's what tonight is all about. So I'm seeing now that a ton of folks are joining, which is great. So let's go ahead and get started by meeting our panelists for today. Awesome. Thank you all for joining. Let's start with some introductions. So I'll ask each of you to introduce yourself and tell us 4 things: your name, where you call home, what your job is, and let's just get everyone warmed up. Tell us what your most common financial aid question is, and of course, give us the answer. I'll start with you, Carla.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carla Weber-Wandel. I'm the Communications Manager for the Office of Student Financial Aid at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, which means I'm located in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. And top question, I would say very easily, is how much financial aid am I going to get? And of course, we know that that question and the answer can really vary depending on the schools you're looking at, what your situation is. But definitely a top question is, how much am I going to get?
That's the big question, isn't it? That's why everyone's here. LaShawn, I'll pass it to you.
Yes. Hi, my name is LaShawn Barnes. I am in Georgia. I work at Emory University as an associate director in the financial aid department. And my top question is, will the federal work study be applied to my account if I do not participate or if I don't want to get a job? And the answer is that it's no, because federal work study is earned aid. So you have to actually find a job, typically on campus, and you will get paid bi-weekly. It's like a paycheck. So it wouldn't be applied to your student account.
That's helpful, LaShawn. And Pam.
Hello, my name is Pamela Mason, she, her, hers. I'm a first-generation college student, and I received financial aid to attend both undergraduate and graduate school, and I love my job. I think we all do. My most common question is, so I get my financial aid package, but is it going to be the same all 4 years? And as Carla mentioned, the answer is it depends. Many of you are going to apply to more than one school. Some schools offer merit-based financial aid, and that merit scholarship might be the same all 4 years. They may ask you to maintain a certain GPA in order to keep that merit scholarship. Some schools might offer you need-based financial aid, and we're going to explain to you all about how we figure out need-based financial aid. But that'll be reevaluated each year based on your family's financial circumstances. So if your family's financial circumstances stay the same, then your financial aid is probably going to stay the same. But if something happens and you need more financial aid, then each year it's reevaluated so we can give you every single dollar that you qualify for.
Very helpful, Pam. Thank you. And last but not least, Mindy. Mindy, I think you might be on mute there.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. I'm going to piggyback off of Pam, but my name is Mindy Fillion. I work as well with LaShawn at Emory University in the state of Georgia as an assistant director, and I typically work with incoming students and stuff like that. But fact, like Pam was indicating, is that typically some students will be like, oh, I received my financial aid award offer. Can I get more? There is a special circumstance appeal option depending on what school you're going to, because I can't say that every school has an appeal process. But if they do have an appeal process, you can do that, submit additional documentation and see if reconsideration can be done in regards to the financial aid award that has been offered.
Thank you so much, Mindy, and thank you to all of our panelists for being here. Just thank you for being part of Big Future Live, and I hope you're ready to answer a ton of questions from our students and caring adults out there. Before we get to all of those great questions that I know are flowing in right now, I want to ask our audience, what brought you to today's event? We want to know what we should focus on today. So what brought you to today's event? What are you most interested in learning about today? You should see a quick poll that is showing up on your screen and tell us, are you interested in learning about financial aid lingo? Do you want to know how and when to apply to financial aid? Or are you really interested in what happens afterwards? So after you apply, what does that process actually look like? While you're answering that poll, just a couple of housekeeping items to be aware of. At the bottom of your screen, you're going to see an ask a question box. So you should see it right there. That's where you're going to type in your questions and submit them to us. We're all about answering your questions, so please don't be shy, but know that there are a lot of people on this call tonight, so we're going to get to as many as possible. And if you miss anything during today's event or have to walk away or from your phone or computer, don't worry. The recording is going to be available later at bigfuture.org/live so that you can see everything that you might have missed. All right, so back to that poll question. I asked y'all, what are you most interested in learning about today? And it seems like 65% of you want to know how and when to apply for financial aid, which is great. And that's something we will definitely cover during today's event. Well, that's enough of our intros. Let's dive into some of these questions here. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Awesome. Sounds good. So our first question is from Judith. And Judith wants to know, when is the right time to start applying for financial aid grants and state funding? Carla, can you pass that one to you?
Of course you can. So timeline. Oof, y'all, things are going to change just a little bit this next year. So I'm going to try to be very clear on some timing differences. If you are a current senior in high school, you should already be applying for financial aid and for scholarships and hoping to kind of wrap up some of those processes at this point as you get ready to decide where you're going to go this fall. Juniors in the house, you are going to have a little bit different experience this fall because there are some changes coming to the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. That's the application that you should prioritize filling out first and foremost to be considered for most of the types of financial aid you can get. Typically, and we're told in future years, it will go back to being available October 1st. But for this fall, the FAFSA should be available sometime in December. I know that's really vague, but that's as far as the Department of Education has even told us in the financial aid offices yet. So just keep an ear out to your high school teams, the colleges and universities you're looking to attend, because as we get more information this summer, we will definitely be telling you how that timeline is going to change. But more generally, you are going to start applying for financial aid and scholarships in the fall of your senior year of high school and kind of work on those applications through the fall into the spring semester as you get those then financial aid offers usually in the spring.
Thank you for that, Carla. And it's good to know that's going to be a little bit different for next year's seniors. And thank you so much for the question, Judith. Our next question is going to go to you, Mindy. Ivan wants to know, where is the best place to look for scholarships?
Typically, we tend to tell students that, oh yeah, you can definitely Google your scholarships, but it's better to contact the university that you're interested in or any university, and we can give you a list of scholarships that we've double checked to make sure that it's safe and it's not a scam scholarship that you can definitely apply for. So typically any student who comes to me asking about scholarships, I always email them a list of scholarship websites that I know that we've checked and we know that are not scammed. And that's where the student can basically just check it and apply for it and go from there. But it's always good to check with your financial aid office, depending on whatever school that you're applying to.
That's great. That's great, Mindy. Definitely check with schools directly. Another great place to look for scholarships is Big Future. If you go to bigfuture.org and look under Pay for College, we have something called our scholarship directory. And in our scholarship directory, you'll see over 15,000 scholarships that you can learn more about and apply to. So Big Future, again, is another place where you can look for scholarships. For students who are juniors and sophomores, we also offer scholarships as you prepare for life after high school. So if you take steps on Big Future to build your career list, to build your college list, you automatically earn entries into our Big Future Scholarships program. And we award hundreds of $500 scholarships each month and two $40,000 scholarships each month. So there's another opportunity, another incentive for you to take those steps to really own your own future. So thank you for that question, Ivan. Our next question is going to go to you, Pam, and this is from Srini. Srini wants to know what types of financial aid is actually out there, what's available. And I think a good place to start is just, what is financial aid? Walk us through that.
Excellent. And I realize I totally forgot to say where I work and where I'm from. So sorry about that. I'm from Johns Hopkins University in the financial aid office, which is in Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore. But I actually live in New Jersey because of the wonders of modern technology. I work remotely. And I grew up in Virginia Beach and then I lived in Harlem for 20 years. So anyway, shout out to everyone from all those different places. What is financial aid? Well, financial aid is money that is given to you to help pay for your college expenses. Now, it could be given to you in the form of a grant or a scholarship. That's the free money. That's the kind you don't have to pay back, which is great. It could come from either your state government, the federal government, or from the institution itself, from the college or university. There's also money that you can earn. As LaShawn was mentioning, there's something called work study where you get a job on campus and you earn money by doing that job on campus part-time. Your studies are your most important activity while you're in school. but you work a little small part-time job on campus, that money comes back to you and helps you to do things like pay for books and toothpaste and hair gel and all those little expenses that come up while you're a college student. Laundry detergent, you know? And then there's also loans. Loans are made available both by the federal government, sometimes by the state government, and that's money that's loaned to you, given to you now to help pay for your college expenses, and then you pay that off after you graduate. Once you've graduated, then students, you'll be earning your own money, you'll have started your career, and so you can pay those loans off a little bit at a time. So grants and scholarships, as I mentioned before, it might be based on merit because you all have something that is meritorious and wonderful and amazing. You all have talents and abilities, academic ability, athletic ability, artistic ability. You're all fabulous, brilliant, geniuses. And sometimes you may receive funding for that, either from these outside scholarship organizations that Mindy and Greg were talking about, or from the university itself. And then there's also need-based financial aid. Need-based financial aid is going to look at your family's financial circumstances, figure out how much your family can afford to contribute towards your college expenses, and then help cover the difference with a combination of grants, scholarships, loans, work study, so that you have enough tools and resources available to you to help cover your expenses.
Thank you so much, Pam. So merit aid, it's going to be based on your achievements, and then your need-based financial aid is given to students who can't afford that full cost of attendance. And Pam, would you say that that's the most common type of aid? Like need-based?
It depends. I would say that's our favorite answer in financial aid, by the way, in case you haven't heard that 12 times already. It depends. Every college and university is different. And, you know, just as every single person that's listening right now has a different amount of money in your pocket and you choose how to spend those dollars, every college and university chooses how to spend their financial aid dollars. So some universities are going to offer only merit scholarships. Some universities are only going to offer need-based financial aid, and some universities might offer both. At Hopkins, we generally do primarily need-based financial aid, but we have 1 or 2 merit scholarships that we do make available to students that are applying as well. There are some other schools that I worked at before that were only need-based financial aid. And again, there are some schools that offer predominantly merit-based financial aid. A great question for you to ask as you're looking at the different colleges that you might want to apply to is not, do you have financial aid, but what kind of financial aid do you have? And understanding if it's need or merit or both, that then tells you what kind of paperwork you might need to fill out and what to expect.
Awesome. That's a great tip, Pam. Ask the financial aid advisors what kind of aid they offer. Thank you so much, Pam. All right, LaShawn, you're up. This next question is for you. Wajith wants to know, do we have to apply for financial aid in every year of college?
Great question. So with some schools, you do not have to apply every year, but most schools you do have to reapply for financial aid each year. Now, if you receive a merit scholarship, then typically those are given to you you receive it for the 4 years while you're attending the college. So most likely you don't have to apply for financial aid, especially if it's going to cover your full balance. Otherwise, you do have to apply for financial aid each year because the family financial situation can change. And by applying for financial aid, you're going to complete the FAFSA. And then there's other schools where you have to complete the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So you just want to make sure you have all your documents prepared when you're completing the FAFSA, your parents' information as well as your own and financial information. But typically, you do have to reapply for financial aid each year.
All right. Thanks, LaShawn. That's really helpful. And our next question is from William. This is going to go to you, Carla. After your FAFSA is complete and the aid offered is not sufficient, what do I do? So I get my financial aid package and it's not enough. What do I do?
Yeah, so first thing I always recommend is definitely talk to the schools that sent you that financial aid offer first and foremost to just find out that you know that your offer is correct. There weren't any mistakes on your FAFSA. Nothing's changed in your financial situation that might be worth letting the school know about. So maybe they can make some changes to what that offer is. Otherwise, the school's also going to be the best place to get some ideas of where to look next. Maybe it's other scholarship resources. Maybe it's borrowing, whether that's, again, loans from the federal government, from your state. Maybe the institution has some low interest or subsidized loans you could borrow. But those, unfortunately, are kind of the two go-tos. Once you've exhausted everything that your school can offer you, is just looking for more scholarships and then potentially borrowing.
Thanks for that, Carly. I love that first step of just checking to make sure, hey, is everything okay? Is all my information right? That's a really good first step that maybe some folks forget about. Our next question is for you, Pam, and Ron wants to know, what is the CSS profile?
Excellent. Before I answer that, I'm actually going to share a quick little anecdote about double checking your numbers. I'm working with a family right now. They were admitted to Hopkins, and guess what? They accidentally put an extra zero. They put $400,000 when the answer was really $40,000. Now, luckily, we figured this out. They made the correction, and obviously that changed their financial aid award pretty significantly. So it is always a really good idea to just double check your numbers and make sure that you've inputted it correctly. A great way to do that on the FAFSA is to utilize a tool called the IRS DRT. That's the Internal Revenue Service data retrieval tool, and that actually allows you to zap your information from the federal government tax department to the federal government education department. And you give your permission and it zaps it all over. That avoids any typos. The CSS profile is another form similar to the FAFSA that many colleges and universities will ask you to fill out. It's presented by the College Board, so you're going to log in with the same login that you use to access all of your College Board materials, your SATs, your AP exams, big future. You log in and provide information on the College Board CSS profile to the colleges and universities like Hopkins that want a little bit more detail than FAFSA provides. The FAFSA form is a federal government form, and God bless them, the federal government does the best they can. They ask some very general questions about your family's financial circumstances, but the FAFSA doesn't ask you about any special circumstances. It doesn't necessarily ask about some of those extra expenses that you might have, or if there was a job loss, or if there's a high cost of living in your area, or if there are medical expenses that maybe weren't covered by insurance. CSS profile asks you about all that information. It's also going to ask for a little bit more information about things like, does your family own a business? If your family owns a business, that doesn't automatically mean that you're Oprah. It doesn't automatically mean that you have lots of resources. Owning a business is really hard work. So what the CSS profile will do is say, does your family own a business? If you answer yes, it's going to ask you more questions about that business so that we can get a better understanding of what your family has in terms of income, in terms of expenses, in terms of assets, in terms of debts. If your family doesn't own a business, you answer no on the CSS profile and it skips over all those questions. It's a really great form that gives us a bigger picture about what your family is going through. And it actually at the end has a space after you've answered all the questions. If there's anything more that you want us to know, then there's a place for you to tell us about your family's special circumstances. Not every college requires this form, but those of us that do, the reason why we ask for it is not to make your life harder, not to make you fill out a second form just to make this process more difficult, but really because we want to know more. We want to understand all the details so that we can get a very, very accurate, very holistic picture of what your family's finances are, and therefore, hopefully, qualify you for even more financial aid. And it works the same way that FAFSA does, where you fill out the form once and then you just put the code in for each of the colleges, and then it sends that information to each of the colleges where you put the code on. The FAFSA is free. The CSS profile does have a fee associated with it, but similar to a lot of the other College Board programs, that fee is waived for many, many students. If your family's income is $100,000 or less, then the fee for the CSS profile is automatically waived.
Thanks so much for that, Pam. So the CSS profile really gives schools and financial aid experts a richer picture of what your financial situation is. And thank you for that question, Ron. Our next question is for you, Mindy. Veronica wants to know, how do you accept scholarships or other types of financial aid? And so what I think Veronica means is, like, once you actually get that financial aid package, once you actually get that scholarship, how do you accept it?
Well, okay, so when it comes to external scholarships, the student cannot accept it. It's basically where you let us know, we put it on the award, and then once we actually receive the actual physical check, that's when we accept it for you. And then that's when it gets paid towards your student account. So we can show it as pending funds that will eventually pay, but it will not actually pay until we actually receive the physical check to pay for it.
Got it. That's helpful, Mindy. It gives us a better sense there. Our next question is for you, LaShawn, and this is from Alan. Alan wants to know, if you don't have financial need, how do you find out which schools, which colleges are going to give merit-based financial aid scholarships or grants?
Okay. So when you're starting to look for colleges, the first place you want to go to is check the admissions website, because sometimes they do mention things about applying for merit scholarships, and they list deadlines. And then you can also check this school's financial aid website. This is where you'll find any information in regards to merit, as well as scholarships and other grants that particular colleges offer.
That's great. That's great, LaShawn. And I think it goes back to something that you said, Pam, of like, one of the first questions you should ask is, what kinds of financial aid do you offer, to give you a better sense of what money is actually out there. Okay, our next question is for you, Carla. And Cynthia wants to know, how long will the FAFSA start date delay impact getting your aid package? So now that it's open in December, do we know what the rest of the timeline is going to look like?
Oh, Cynthia, if I were to have a crystal ball right now and read the future, I would be making all sorts of money right now off of financial aid offices, because we're all trying to figure that out. Knowing that we don't know when that FAFSA is coming out, it's also then hard for schools to start planning when they'll be able to start reviewing that information and getting aid offers out. So all I can really tell you at this point is, I promise we are doing our hardest and working closely with all of the different organizations to make sure that we are aware of what's happening and can go through these changes as smoothly as possible and not have aid offers be too delayed next spring. But no guarantees and no promises. We'll really just have to wait and see what happens. Best advice, keep in touch with those financial aid offices. We're going to be your best tool and best communication as things start happening in the next few months.
That's great, Carla. So we're not sure yet. As you said, I wish we all had a crystal ball, but I love the advice of just stay connected to your financial aid advisor. Make sure there's an open line of communication there, so that way when there is news, you have someone that you can turn to help you through that process. So great question. Mindy, this next question is for you. It's from Ginger. Ginger wants to know, does scholarship money get paid to the school directly, or does it get issued to the student via a check, I guess with the expectation that they'll pay tuition or other school-related expenses?
It's both, actually. There are some organizations where they will pay the scholarship directly to the student, and we are not aware of that. But typically, it's supposed to be sent to the university. The university receives it. We post it and we award it to the student, and then it gets dispersed towards their student account. So it could be either or, but it really depends on what the organization wants to do.
So a good step would probably be if you are applying to that scholarship, Ginger, talk to the scholarship provider and see what their process is if you are going to be awarded. And then also I would say make sure that you're in touch with your financial aid advisor as well if you know that that is coming down the pike. Would you say that's good advice, Mindy?
Oh yeah, definitely. You definitely want to make sure that your financial aid advisor is aware that you've been granted a scholarship, so that they're aware of it and they can notate your account that, oh, I'm getting this scholarship, so we could possibly be looking out for it, but we don't really know if they're going to send it to us or if they're going to send it to the student.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for that question. I have another question. This is for you, Pam. Can we get more than one scholarship if the college allows? Can we have more than one scholarship?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer this question, assuming that this is referring to an outside scholarship, like one of the Big Future scholarships, or maybe there's the Coca-Cola scholarship, or I received the Tidewater Builders Association scholarship when I was an undergrad. I was a theater major, so I'm not sure what ended up happening there, but I lived in Tidewater. So the scholarships that you receive are something that can be used to help towards your college expenses. And every college that provides you a financial aid award is going to have their own policy with regard to how that money is applied to your account. As Mindy mentioned, we usually ask you to report those outside scholarships to us so that your financial aid advisor is aware of the outside funding that's coming in. That's so we can help you track the money down in case the check gets lost in the mail, or if they send it electronically, that it doesn't get lost in cyberspace. But it's also because that's additional funding that we maybe didn't know about when we first put together your financial aid package. Many colleges and universities that provide financial aid will adjust your financial aid award based on outside scholarships. So for instance, at Hopkins, if a student receives an outside scholarship, they can use that to replace either the summer job that we ask them to do to save up a little bit of money to help pay for college, or the job that they do during the school year, their work-study job, the fall semester, the spring semester. So we typically ask students to save up a couple of $1,000s over the summer and earn a couple of $1,000s over the course of the fall and the spring semester. If they bring in outside scholarships, then that replaces. And so if a student brings in a $2,000 scholarship, then that's $2,000 that they don't need to earn either during the summer or during the school year. A school may also, if a student loan is part of the financial aid award, they may allow you to swap out your student loan. So instead of borrowing a student loan, you could have the outside scholarship cover that amount as well. Every college is a little bit different. At Hopkins, we don't put student loans in the financial aid packages up front. So it only goes towards your summer job or your job during the school year. The outside scholarship policy is something that we're trying to help you utilize that funding, but also make that make sense with the financial aid that we've already provided you. At the end of the day, you can't have more funding than the costs are. So we're always looking to see what your cost of attendance is, your tuition, your housing, your meal plan, your books and toothpaste and personal expenses, and making sure that any outside funding, as well as the funding from the university, fits within that budget.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for that, Pam. Really appreciate it. So when we started this conversation, I polled the group and asked, what are you most interested in learning about? And the majority of you said, we want to know how to apply to financial aid and when to apply. So I want to share some other resources that are going to be helpful as you start on this financial aid process. So I'm just going to share my screen really quick here and show you some resources that you can access if you head to Big Future at bigfuture.org. So here's the Big Future home screen, or your personalized dashboard. And if you go to the top here, you'll see Plan for College, Pay for College, Explore Careers, Community Events, and My Profile. Under Pay for College are all of our tools related to, well, paying for college. So I'm going to click here, and Since we're talking about financial aid basics today, I wanted to point out this financial aid basics link. If you click there, you'll see other content about things that we're talking about today. What is financial aid? How to complete the CSS profile. We had some folks ask about student loans. Other folks asked about work study. The financial aid experts on the screen are great resources, but if you forget anything they said or just getting started in the process, this is a great way for you to get started and actually read up on some of these basics. Another thing I want to point out is related to calculating your cost. So many of you might be interested in, just getting a better sense of what college is going to cost you. A good place to start is with some of our tools here around net price. We have a net price calculator. You can also read up more about your expected family contribution with our expected family contribution calculator as well. So just wanted to call out some of those resources that are helpful as you all are starting to think about financial aid and learning some of those basics. That's enough of my soapbox. Back to our questions from our students here. Our next question is going to be for you, LaShawn. Sarah wants to know, where can I find a financial aid advisor?
Okay, so you can locate your financial aid advisor by going to your college's website. You can either Google your college name and put financial aid contacts behind it, or if you know how to navigate your college's website, then you can go to the financial aid website to find the contacts. Typically, we have, like with our college at Emory, we have the advisors. We are broken down by the student's last name, so we have separate alpha split. And then we have our phone numbers as well as our email addresses. Now, if you are on campus and you want to locate your financial aid advisor, then you will navigate over to the financial aid office. Some colleges do allow you to come in as a walk-in appointment, and then other colleges do require you to schedule an appointment.
And just to follow on to that, LaShawn, say I'm not in college yet, but I want to speak to a financial aid advisor. I want to get some more information from the school directly. Who would I contact?
You can actually go onto the school's website as well and look up under the financial aid webpage and contact a financial aid advisor that's listed on there. We do get a lot of prospective students that are calling our office as well that haven't even started the process, and they have questions as to how can they start the process, what is the school offering, and things of that nature. Sometimes they even want to come to do a tour. And they're calling about that. So yes, go to the college that you're interested in website, type in the Office of Financial Aid, and there should be a list of contact information for advisors.
That's great, LaShawn. All right, students, you heard it here first. If you have questions, you're not in college yet, you can still reach out to schools. You can still reach out to those financial aid offices and advisors to get more information as you're starting this process. Carla, our next question is for you. We've talked about work study a little bit already, but Deborah wants to know, is there a maximum amount that you can earn in work study?
Oh, here's your favorite answer, everybody. It depends. Really, because federal work study is what's called a campus-based fund. So schools are given pots of money of federal work study, and they can all kind of divvy it out as the needs of their schools work out. So it really is going to depend on what school you're attending and what's included in your financial aid offer. They'll be very clear as to what is the maximum that you're able to earn in work study, but don't let that maximum amount stop you from keeping that job, that work study job, and continuing to work. A lot of work study roles, even once you've earned all your work study, will allow you to keep working in those positions until the next year comes around and you can re-up those work study dollars. So don't let that maximum amount make you think that you have to stop working at that point either. But otherwise, generally, it depends.
Thanks, Carla. It is our favorite answer here, right? Our next question is going to be for you, Pam. Iora wants to know, how long does the financial aid process take from application to award? So someone who's putting together their timeline, it sounds like Iora is really trying to plan ahead here. Tell us more about what that timeline looks like. Oh, I think, Pam, I think you might be frozen on our end. So LaShawn, can I pass that one to you?
Sure. So it just really depends on how you apply to the school. So because sometimes we have ED1, ED2, and regular decision. And each one of those have certain deadlines that you have to meet in order to apply to the school and submit your financial aid. So you just want to keep in mind of the deadlines that your college has out there for you. So let's say that you applied as a ED1. Typically those applications are due rather sooner than others. But as long as you submit your information to us and we have all your documentation to determine your financial aid, that can be anywhere from when you receive your notification that you were admitted into the college is usually about a week. I would say a week. Generally, typically though, with the ED1 student, the moment that they send out notification that you're admitted to the college, you usually get your award letter immediately right afterwards. So it can be the same day or the very next night. But sometimes, depending on if there's additional documents that's needed, it may take a little bit longer.
Thank you for that, LaShawn. Very helpful as students are trying to plan what that timeline is going to look like. Mindy, our next question is for you, and it's from Elizabeth. Elizabeth wants to know, we know that there are student loans out there, which of course are for the students attending school, but are there parent loans for parents who want to help out their students and help fund their education?
Yes, parents can take out a Parent Plus loan, and the Parent Plus loan is basically done through the U.S. Department of Education's website, which is studentaid.gov. And basically, it's going to be reviewed based on their credit. If it's approved, they can choose the maximum amount that they want, or they can choose a specific amount. But we do not go over the cost of attendance, depending on the approval of that Parent Plus loan. But that is an option that parents and their student can take in order to receive additional funding.
So we just want to keep in mind, it's going to piggyback off of Mindy. With the Parent Plus loan, it is a loan that the parent is taking out on the behalf of the student to assist the student with their financials at their colleges to cover any charges. And it is the responsibility of the parent to pay back the loan.
And another thing to piggyback off of you as well, I'm so sorry, my son is loud.
All good.
Also, to understand, typically repayment begins 60 days after the first payment. So you have to understand that when repayment starts, you start paying back the loan, or you contact the U.S. Department of Education to see if you can get a deferment on having to repay the loan.
That's a really helpful one. And for those of you who are interested in learning more about college loans, we do have a Big Future Live event coming up in June, on June 15th, all about loans for parents and for students. So add that one to your calendar too. We're just about at time. We answered a ton of questions, but I have one question that I want to ask each of you, and I'm going to ask you to answer pretty rapid fire here. What is your one big piece of advice for students as they're navigating the financial aid process? What's that one thing you want them to keep in mind as they're going through this? Carla, I'll start with you.
The financial aid office is your friend. Contact us, reach out to us, know that we're here to support you and get as much money as we can.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
LaShawn.
I would definitely say check your email. As we send out communication to students through email a lot, you definitely want to keep up with that. Sometimes we send out communication letting you know documents that we need. And then sometimes we're just sending out information just as an FYI. So you definitely want to check your email.
Thank you, LaShawn. And Mindy.
I would say it's always good to ask questions. Everybody thinks just to assume, but no, ask questions. There is no harm in asking a question, and we will be more than happy to answer those questions.
Great advice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And Pam, last but not least.
I'm going to give a big shout out. We need to check our emails, but also look at the website. We've got a great team of people on our staff that they work really hard to put a lot of information out there, frequently asked questions, the net price calculator and the My Intuition Quick Cost College Estimator. You can actually plug your numbers in and see what you might qualify for. There's information about even if you're not admitted to college yet, what happens if you go study abroad? What happens if you're going on to graduate school? Websites have a lot of great information, and financial aid websites, we really try our best to make a complicated subject easy to understand.
Great advice, Pam. So you heard it here first. Check out those websites. They have a lot of the information that you're looking for. Thank you all for this awesome conversation, for just answering so many questions from our students and caring adults out there. And thanks to everyone for joining Big Future Live today. We'd love to hear how today's session went. So after this event closes, you'll be automatically directed to a feedback survey. Please complete it so that we can make the next Big Future Live event even better. And for those of you who might have missed part of the conversation or you joined late, don't worry, you can view the recording on Big Future at bigfuture.org/live. And lastly, before we close out, I want to do a quick plug for our next Big Future Live event on May 4th, where you hear from professionals and companies about how to pick a major, which I know a lot of students are curious about. So register for that for free, of course, at bigfuture.org/live. Thank you all for joining again. Thank you to our panelists for an awesome conversation, and have a wonderful night.
Bye.